Good afternoon, folks. Thanks for taking your time to be here. Today we have the Fiddleback Forge Bushfinger. Like I said, folks, we got the Fiddleback Forge Bushfinger on the docket today. Just as an aside, I did get a chance to meet these folks at Blade Show. If you guys ever get a chance to meet them, don't turn it down. Great group of folks there. Very friendly, very kind, and very knowledgeable in their trade craft. So anyway, the Bushfinger. What does it look like? That right there. This, I believe, and I can't guarantee the exact specifications and information on this knife because I don't have it, but I have done some research. I believe this is their production model and not it doesn't come from their handmade line. It does come from their production line, I believe, just judging on the looks and how the steel reacts to sharpening up and the edge retention, stuff like that. So anyway, without further ado, let's run over the specs real quick and then we'll get into working this blade some. Alright guys, a quick specs rundown on this knife. And like I said before, I had to do some research. I'm pretty sure this is their production model. Those are the specs I'm going off of, but these knives can be fully customized. So these specs are totally dependent on what you want to see from this knife. The blade length is 3 1/4 inches long. The handle is 4 inches long. The blade metal is an 1/8 inch thick CPM S35VN stainless steel. The handle material on this knife comes available with either black canvas micarta or natural micarta. The tang is fully exposed. Now this part's kind of conjecture. I am pretty sure it includes the sheath. I am not sure if it includes the ferro rod or not. So you'll have to ask the guys at Fiddleback Forge if you are interested in this knife. And as far as pricing goes, on the website it says it's dependent on the options you choose with this knife. I believe it's in the neighborhood of $190 to $200, something like that. But again, you'll have to talk to the guys at Fiddleback Forge to be sure about that. You guys have heard me say this before, but in my opinion, a bushcraft blade really needs to shine in 3 different areas. Number one, it needs to be good at making small fuel out of large fuel, batoning that wood down if you choose to follow that methodology. If you don't, then, you know, it just kind of skip that part. But also, it needs to be good at the finer work, you know, whipping of a bow drill set, carving a spoon, feather sticking, that sort of thing. And it also needs to be good at kitchen work, you know, finally cutting up your food so you can cook it. So anyway, today we're going to hit up the fuel processing and food processing aspect of this blade. So let's get started. One thing I neglected to mention in the specs portion of this, the grind is partial convex. Now, I'll be honest folks, I am not exactly sure what a partial convex blade is, but I will say, I like it. This is a dead poplar sapling. If you guys are familiar with aspen, poplar, cottonwood, stuff like that, a lot of times a knife, when you're batoning it, the thickness of the blade itself will cause it to chunk out and break. The thing I wanted to kind of show is that the way they have this ground, how it's a long and thin taper, you know, kind of like a angled saber grind. It really allows it to follow the grain of the wood on something that's easy to chunk out and allow it to split it instead of chunking it out. I mean, it does chunk it out some, but not nearly as bad as say a Scandi or something with a steep, short grind on it. Guys, I've been playing with this knife quite a bit over the last few weeks, and I will say, for a stainless steel, which one I'm not really familiar with, to be honest with you, I believe this is the first knife that I've used with this particular kind of steel, it has amazing edge retention. So whether it's the steel, their heat treat, or a combination of the two, the edge retention is really impressive. Wow, flew right into my stove. You guys can see, I'm cutting straight through it like this and not beaver chewing it. It's doing a really good job. Like I said, I'm not exactly sure what a partial convex edge is, but I like it. I've lost my tip. Hi guys, now here's where we run into problems. This is a ferro rod that came supplied with the knife. Again, just to reiterate, I don't know if this normally comes with this knife or not. I know that when this was entered into the Gauntlet, this came with it. So it feels like just a regular, say, firesteel.com model. Alright. The spine on this knife is not really sharp. You can see if you put a lot of work into it, you can get it to spark a little bit. But, yeah. Alright, let's try something else. This is your Swedish Fire Steel Army model. Takes a little bit different technique. Don't know if this works any better or not. A little bit. But not a lot. Okay. Alright, well, the stove's heating up. Let's go ahead and cut this into strips. No particular reason. One, just to kind of highlight this cutting on a cold piece of meat, but also so it cooks a little bit quicker. And it grabs the grain and goes right through there. Makes a great kitchen knife. Throw some of that hickory on there to get some nice coals going. Well, I'd say it's about done. Woo! Well, as my steak rests, let's go ahead and wrap this up. The Fiddleback Forge Bushfinger, it's a good little blade. It's handy. I was actually reading on their website, I believe, if I understood it correctly, this choice of steel, size, geometry of this blade was designed specifically for backpackers to provide them a full-size bushcraft blade, but also that's light and easy to carry, that's not going to weigh them down. So if you guys count ounces, this is a good choice for you. Overall, I really like it. The rounded spine, the lack of a 90-degree edge is kind of a letdown to me, but at the same point in time, you know, pretty much all of us have secondary options as far as striking ability goes. So while that is a negative in my mind, it's not a deal breaker either. I have found the handle surprisingly comfortable. It is on the small side, but I don't find that to be a hindrance at all. The long sweeping edge of this blade allows it to really get in there and do fine work. It does awesome, especially with that whatever a partial convex edge is, in tandem with the geometry of that sweeping of the blade, the constant curve, and the long saber-esque type bevel here really allows it to create some awesome feather sticks. It splits really well, especially with a softwood that likes to chunk out. It likes to follow the grain and just split it the direction you want it to go. So yeah, I mean, it batoned really well. It took that hickory like a champ, even straight through some of those knots. Like I said, it batoned straight. It handles duty in the kitchen, both in camp and in the actual kitchen, really well. That thin profile up towards the edge really allows you to make some fine, precise cuts on food, both hard food and soft food, you know, like hard food like broccoli and soft food like steak. So yeah, again, I know I've said it before, but a huge thumbs up from me. As I said before, it does come with a good quality sheath. The retention of it does leave a little bit to be desired, but at the same point in time, if you're not planning on hanging upside down, it's not going to be an issue for you. It does have a loop right here, which I assume is for a dangler. So definitely overall, I give this blade a huge thumbs up. I really enjoyed playing with it. Like I said, somewhere along in the video, while making that feather stick, the edge retention on this thing is absolutely insane. This is my first time playing with this particular steel, and I've been really impressed thus far. I don't know if it's their heat treat or the steel material or a combination of the two, but it really holds up well. Anyway, guys, pardon me while I eat lunch. That is absolutely wonderful. Anyway, folks, well, that wraps it up for the Fiddleback Forge Bushfinger. Overall, like I said, a huge thumbs up for me. I've really enjoyed playing with it. I've had a lot of fun showing it off to you guys today. Guys, if you're interested in one of these knives, all the product information will be in the description of this video. And guys, if you enjoyed this video or found this video helpful in deciding whether this is the knife for you, would you go ahead and hit that like button for me? It does actually help me out quite a bit, and I would appreciate it. As always, folks, go ahead and hit that comment section up. I enjoy the interaction that gets started off of these with you guys, just hearing your thoughts and your feedback on this. And guys, also, if you want to see what's coming down the pipeline, whether my regular channel stuff or my side of the Gauntlet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well. And also, folks, I know that recipe for this steak was looking kind of interesting. If you want more information about the recipe, check out my next video. I'll explain everything there. But guys, as always, I'll see you next time.